This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Spouses Talking Houses with husband and wife real estate team Jennifer and Brian Frost. Everything you want to know about buying, selling, investing, and owning property. So let's get real about real estate.
Welcome back to Spouses Talking Houses. I'm Jennifer.
I'm Brian.
And our guest today is Hollie Halverson with Remax Innovative.
Hi, Hollie.
Hi, Hollie. How are you? Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
So today we're going to get real about our realtors cutthroat or cooperative. Because I know there's a reputation that realtors are very cutthroat with each other, and it's not my experience.
It's not my experience either.
Exactly. So before we get to that, just want to talk a little bit about the realtor lifestyle. We've been lucky. This is the slower time of year for us, usually right between the holidays. And that's exactly when we brought home our new puppy, Bodie. Oh! So, 24/7. And obsessively logging onto an app every time he walks, pees, poops, eats, has water.
There truly is an app for everything.
There truly is an app for everything.
What did people do? How did they raise dogs before these apps came out?
I don't know. Well, you used to put newspapers on the floor.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what we've been doing. Hopefully you've had something a little more exciting going on.
Yeah, not that exciting, but I've had a few puppies in my life, so I can relate to that. But just same old, quiet holidays, and trying to spend some time with family when I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Hollie, you are one of the principals of Remax Innovative, right?
I am. Yep, it's actually Remax Innovative Properties.
Thank you.
I am a co-owner with two partners.
Mm-hmm. And how many offices now?
We have 6 offices.
That's fabulous. All right. So I know Londonderry and Wyndham. What are the other ones?
Pelham, Hollis, Lowell, Mass.
Excellent. That's great.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. And our offices are walking distance to each other in Londonderry.
They are. I can see you directly across the street. Yeah.
Exactly. And in addition to being with Remax, you are also the president this year of our Granite State
I am.
South Board of
Congratulations.
Realtors.
Thank you. I'm very, very excited. Yes, I am the president for 2021 of Granite State South Board of Realtors.
Yeah. So, and that's, I think, why you might be a perfect person to talk to us about this.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope I can help shed some light on maybe some misconceptions that are out there.
Exactly. So do you think of other agents as competitors?
You know, I do. I think you have to think of it as if I was a roofer. Mm-hmm. In town, there might be 15 other roofers in town, and they are my competitors. So real estate agents, surely, same job, competitors. The only really interesting thing about this is that the real estate business, we are working with our competitors,
yes,
or, together with our competitors to get our job done, or, to close a transaction.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah. So you have a buyer and I have a seller, and we want to bring them together.
Absolutely.
And we facilitate that bringing together. Hopefully we don't get in the way of it.
Hopefully not. But it's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the roofer example that I use, you're not having 20 roofers out working on the same house, right? But you're going to have a couple of real estate agents working together to make this happen, bringing buyers and sellers together. And it can get interesting.
It can get interesting. Mm-hmm. I don't find myself in competitive situations that often. When you're going for a listing, a lot of times the seller will be interviewing a few people, and so I might be competing against 1 or 2 realtors in that scenario.
Sure.
But the rest of the time, it's not like I have to go race and trip you before you talk to somebody.
No.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I don't think competitors, I don't want to use that as a negative thing, right? As a negative word.
Exactly.
We are competitors in a good way.
Right.
I compete against myself. I'm confident enough in my abilities that I don't feel like, somebody else is going to get me. I'm competing. And your case of going on a listing appointment is normally where you might be competing against another agent. That's the most common scenario that we have in our industry.
Yeah. And there are a few agents who I compete with multiple times, but most of the time it's somebody different.
Yeah, sure.
Most of the time I'm not up against the same person.
No.
And we do a lot of repeat and referral business, so we don't even sometimes compete.
Yeah, I do also. I mean, you've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this a long time.
Right.
It is now, much of our business is repeat clients. So we don't run into that a lot. A newer agent certainly would. Some sellers do have, 3, 4, 5 different real estate agents in to talk to about selling their home. And
the competition also is very high now because of the low inventory.
No listings.
When there's only a few houses coming on the market every week, it's a more competitive environment.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. It sure is. It's just been crazy for sure these past couple of years.
I think New Hampshire just ran out of houses. I mean, right now
you could be right.
I think there's one listed.
Right now, I have not one thing to go show my buyers.
No, and it's funny because I actually live in Merrimack, and we are getting ready, I think, to list our home. My kids have grown, and we're going to downsize. So my husband, who is not a realtor, looks at listings every day, and he's like, there's like 3 houses on the market in Merrimack, and
the whole town.
Yes. In the whole town.
Craziness. Yeah.
So it's really
I think it'll sell.
Yeah. Tell me about your house. I have a buyer.
Every time I say that to a realtor, they're like, tell me about it. I'll let you know. I'm not quite ready yet. I still have some things to do. I'm trying to take my own advice of staging and things like that, right?
All right. Well, I will be looking through the Merrimack tax rolls to see what your house is.
All right. Take a drive by.
We have a buyer for that house.
I'm sure you do. Whatever it is, we have a buyer for it. So that's how we cooperate, though, right?
Yeah. That's how we cooperate.
It is. And that's where the MLS comes in.
It is, right? So I think everyone out there knows MLS. If you're a buyer looking for a home and you see things online, if you're a seller that has hired a realtor to market your home online, what you're seeing is our MLS in its greatest glory. So, MLS is kind of based on if I am a list agent, I'm putting my listing out on MLS, hoping that another realtor will have a buyer and bring it to my listing, and we're cooperating in that way.
Right. And it's the initials stand for multiple listing service, and it is a product of our belonging to the Realtor board.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And that's what sets up the whole cooperation.
Exactly.
And the sharing of information.
Yeah, because it really, when you think about it, it really levels the playing field with large brokerages. I'm from a very large brokerage. There are smaller ones. If we weren't putting this out there, just keeping these listings in our offices, the smaller brokerages are at a disadvantage. They're not seeing these things out there.
Sure.
We talk a lot about back in the day. This was before my time. But when I bought my first house, there was no MLS. And I went to visit a real estate brokerage, and they brought out this book, right? And there's the listings. You're looking for this, you're looking for that. And that was it.
I was in business.
You were in business. Yes. So people talk about that all the time. The new agents won't understand that in any way, shape, or form.
No. The book came out every 2 weeks.
Yep.
And there was a supplement that came out in the week in between. And it looked like a phone book. Oh. And you knew what the inventory was by how thick the book was.
So right now it would be one page.
So, exactly. Right. And in Boston, of course, everything's a little bit more difficult in Boston.
Yeah.
They had 3 different MLSs because some people would belong to one and some people would belong to another.
Okay.
And they used to fax, and this was in the curly paper fax. Young people have no idea what I'm talking about now.
Fax?
Exactly. But they used to fax their listings out once a week to each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine that, right?
No.
So not a lot of cooperation there going on between agents.
Yep.
We have it easy compared to the old days.
We do.
Yeah.
We do.
In some ways, absolutely.
Yeah. But one of the ways that an agent can not play nice with the MLS is to not put a listing in a MLS. They decide they don't want to share it, or they do what we call pocket it, where they will only show it to their own buyers for a short period of time before they bring it out to the public. And that's very much anti-consumer and very much anti-cooperation. And so there have been some new regulations in regards to that with our MLS.
There have been some new regulations. We as Realtors are members and a part of the National Association of Realtors, which I think still is the largest trade organization in the United States.
Over 1 million members, right?
Over 1 million members.
Yeah.
And so we must follow their rules and their guidelines. And they did come out with something last year, which brought some upheaval to the Realtor community that, for sale signs can go out,
a week before.
Some agents would plunk their for sale sign in, and you might see that listing go in, 3 weeks later. Now you're on a time frame, and just some things to level the playing field so that other agents can see these homes, and other consumers can see these homes are coming on and are being listed. Now they call it the clear cooperation policy is what they call it. So it's, and
it makes sense because
it does.
We have the ability to represent buyers and represent sellers. And so a buyer could be represented by you.
Sure.
And I have a listing. And if that buyer sees the sign and they call you for information about it, which is what they're supposed to do, you need to have access to that information.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm all for it.
I am too.
I'm 100% all for it.
I agree.
And I feel like the sellers get their best price when they're exposed to the entire market.
Yep.
And the buyers certainly right now need to know that there's fairness in the market, because if there's not, then they are going to try to have an agent in every single office, and then they don't get the representation that they need.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think it's a good thing.
I think it's an excellent thing. Yeah.
And it's just going to make life easier. It's going to, as you say, sellers are going to have their properties best represented to more people than they would if otherwise.
And if a seller has a home that's maybe not quite ready to be shown, the information can still be out there. Like once the information is out to the public, it needs to be out to the realtor community. And then once showings start. So that's what clear cooperation is all about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's a good thing. And so how is that enforced? Who enforces that? Is that NARIN?
NARIN. So NARIN is our MLS. They do enforce it. So they're the ones that are going to field complaints.
Right.
And they're going to make a phone call into that agent and say, hey, listen,
yeah,
this is what you're doing. This is incorrect. If they're seeing it happen repeatedly, there are fines involved for agents with that.
Yeah. Well, you like me must get copied on any of the NARIN emails that go to anybody in your office, right?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And usually it's about dates, which is also very important. The information that's out there for the consumer needs to be accurate.
Yes.
And when we are pulling statistics out of our multiple listing service, we need that information to be accurate too.
Absolutely.
But that's the most common thing is you didn't input something within 3 days.
Something. We have a lot of rules with the MLS, as there should be. It's not the wild, wild west out there. We just can't, put stuff out wherever. There are rules and laws we must follow. So wording is a big thing in MLS.
Fair housing.
You can't, certain things you can say, can't say. We get a lot of phone calls about that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, exactly. So, so tell us a little bit about what Granite State South Board of Realtors is. What's the Realtor Board?
Right.
And the local.
So I wanted to read their mission statement because, and I'm going to read it straight from my paper in case I get any of these words wrong. So the purpose of Granite State South Board of Realtors is to provide Realtor members access to tools necessary to deliver real estate services in a proficient and ethical manner. So I don't know, do people know this or not know this? I get this question a lot. When you get your real estate license, that does not make you a realtor.
Right.
It's different. You can be a licensee, you can be a realtor. So if you so choose to become a realtor, there's more involved to that. We actually raise our hand and swear, yes.
We do, yeah.
to a code of ethics and to professional standards. We swear to treat all parties fairly and honestly. So when we become a member of a Realtor board, we are, promising to adhere to a higher standard.
Yeah, yeah.
And the board is there to help us, for us. They're there to help the Realtor members with many, 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 many things.
I know. It's a great resource
Sure is.
for education, and not only the required education, but just to stay on top of different things.
Right.
And we take ethics training every couple of years.
Every couple of years.
So then we, the interesting thing about ethics training is scenarios get thrown out there because life is kind of complicated, and things that seem black and white, then all of a sudden the whole story. So the ethics training is really cool because it gives us examples, and then during the examples, and they're usually based on true events, they'll say, at this point, here's where this person crossed the line, okay? And here's why and how, and that's entirely about consumer protection.
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
And treating our fellow realtors well.
And treating our fellow realtors. That is part of the code of ethics, is that we are, we talk a lot about the golden rule.
Yes.
Not only treating consumers fairly, but each other, other realtors.
Yeah.
We hold a hand and swear to that.
Exactly.
So it is important. And I think sometimes maybe things get forgotten, and the trainings that the board provides are something that is really helpful. So there are a lot of things they do. The board provides us the paperwork, the tools of our trade, so to say.
Yeah.
You'll probably have seen a purchase and sales that is drawn up by the attorneys for New Hampshire Association of Realtors.
Exactly.
And they provide that to us. They update that, those contracts and those
They're in the middle of
forms.
Going through a review right now.
Yeah, so we have to check them over every now and then, because if you've been in for a couple of years, they change. They change. They change. You have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So they provide those tools to us. That the training, of course, the education, of course, is awesome.
Yeah.
Many committees. I know that you serve on a couple committees at the board. If there are realtors out there listening to this, please think about serving on a committee. There are so many. I should know how many because I just got through doing names for each committee.
Right.
But I'm going to say 9 to 12.
Right.
Something that will interest everybody. Finances. Grievances, a grievance committee. If you're interested in that, that's real important, right? If you like to plan parties, there's the award ceremonies. There's a committee for that.
Marge is on that.
On that.
And she's a good party planner.
She's a great party planner. Community service is a big one.
Yes.
We, of course, like to serve our community and get the word out there. What is a realtor? We like to get that out to the community. Community service does a lot of, drives and different things in the community. Education, I know you're on that committee. And
legislative affairs.
So
much.
Gosh, get out there because it's fun. It's fun.
It is fun.
So many committees, so many things to learn, and it's fun.
And it's a lot easier when you do a transaction with another agent if you know them and know how their work ethic and you know their character.
Yeah.
And so by doing things together on the board, I get to know a lot of people.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. And it's funny because, and I also want to say that if you are active with the board, it's not the type of place anyone's going to be trying to recruit you.
No.
It's not like that. No. We are there as realtors, as the same. I don't know what brokerage many of those agents are on. We don't talk about it. I don't introduce myself as Hollie Halverson, from XYZ Real Estate Agency. I don't do that. Hi, I'm Hollie Halverson.
Right.
So it's a place where we're working together to help the Realtor members and, help ourselves and meet friends.
And this is where I think real estate does get cutthroat is in the recruiting.
Yeah.
So just like a football team wants to have the best players, every real estate office wants to have the best agents.
Yeah.
And that's where it's extremely competitive.
It can because, right, like any other business, brokerages could be recruiting.
Yeah,
they can be.
I'd love to have you at my office. You'd probably love to have me at your office. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So generally we're pretty good about not being aggressive about it.
No, because the brokerages are members of the real estate boards.
Yeah.
They must be ethical.
They must be ethical. Exactly.
And
exactly.
And it has to be legal.
Yeah.
There are many, many guidelines. Yeah. So, but a lot of those things I think happen organically, not necessarily recruiting from brokerages. But, I'm doing a transaction with you or somebody else. Yeah. It's a couple months we're together.
Yes.
And sometimes people start to talk and, hey, your place, tell me about it.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about yours because I love you and I think you'd be great. Yeah. And a lot of times that's actually how it happens.
And that's a thing that's kind of infrequent and long term. So if I were to lose a listing to you, I'd be like, oh, but she's great, and so at least it went to somebody that I respect, etc.
Yeah.
But if I lost an agent to your office, I would be devastated.
More so because it's internally
okay.
for what you have done or haven't done,
exactly,
right? That's what it is. It's not.
Yeah.
But you have to look at it like any other business. If you work for an accounting firm, you may not stay at the same accounting firm forever, right? I mean, you might be.
And you can't wish anybody ill will. You want them to succeed wherever they go.
No, and you're going to see them again.
Probably
at some point in time.
Right, exactly. So what happens if an agent does violate one of the rules? You mentioned a grievance committee.
There is a grievance committee.
So how does that work?
If there's a problem, a real estate agent simply can pick up the phone, call their local real estate board. They will talk it out with them and deem, is this a violation in ethics or professional standards? Is it?
Yep.
And what do you want to do with that? They may just kind of speak between broker and agent and kind of work that out. If not, and a formal complaint wants to be filed, that can certainly happen. But the board has access to folks that are professionally trained in legal counsel.
Yes.
Folks that are trained in arbitration, mediation, things like that to try to work things out. But at the end of the day, there could be fines levied.
Yep.
Education could be mandated for an agent that maybe is having some struggle understanding, how to get along with others.
How to play nice in the sandbox.
How to play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
So the board will, the board will take care of that and help you. But pick up the phone. They are a fantastic resource for realtors for whatever. If you're just thinking blah, 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 anything, pick up the phone and they'll help you.
And they're very good about not putting you on the defensive.
They are.
And hearing, we want to hear all sides of the story.
Absolutely.
Generally speaking, when I see issues, the first thing that happens is the brokers of you've got two salespeople that are having an issue, which almost always has to do with the other parties in the transaction having an issue.
Absolutely.
And there being lots of drama and, but then usually the two brokers, the brokers who are managing each office talk to each other. And then if that doesn't work, then somebody will call the board.
Right.
And then Stacy is the person at our board. We'll kind of gather all the information. So it really doesn't, it's very rare for something to go all the way to grievance.
It actually is pretty rare.
Yeah.
It actually is. It usually will get taken care of. And I tell agents all the time, listen, talk to your broker.
Yeah.
Start with your broker, your managing broker, your principal broker, whoever you have in your office. Start with the broker because they're likely going to make a phone call to the other broker, and likely something can get
and we're able to get not all emotionally involved in it, which helps.
Right.
And sometimes we'll tell our agents, you did something wrong there.
We're only human.
And here's what you've got to do now, and here's what you got to do in the future.
Yeah.
And the board handles complaints and grievances from realtors about realtors. If a consumer has a complaint about their agent or another agent, then they go to the state, which is the real estate commission.
Right.
But usually, again, a consumer should start with the broker who runs that office.
Absolutely.
Before they...
Absolutely.
Because the state even kind of does the same thing. They'll call the broker.
They will.
Before they open an investigation or anything like that.
And the state really, truly deals more with licensing, with criminal law, with license law.
Exactly.
for the consumers.
And consumer protection.
Things that have been maybe mishandled in that kind of a way, more so than an ethical type of situation. But a consumer can call the local real estate board, absolutely, and they will talk to them, and
they'll be very helpful.
Very helpful, and try to work it out. They are a place of help.
They're a place of help, and the education is just phenomenal.
It is. I love it. I'm just a person of education, and I feel like if you're doing this business, you need to keep learning. There are so many things that come into play in our job. Lending. I don't know every mortgage program there is. I try to learn. New things come up every day. Things change. You're trying to learn these things and to help your customers and clients.
Like one day you could be learning about lead paint, and the next day it's foreclosures. I'm interested in what's going on with tiny houses.
Oh, are you?
And ADUs. There's things happening and changing in the state with that, and I want to learn more. And
one day you're normal, next day you're in a pandemic.
Next day you're in a pandemic.
I mean, that happens too. And I will say that the local boards were a phenomenal last year with this pandemic.
They
Absolutely.
were, yes.
They are also something that they do for us is they are a source of information as to what is going on. They advocate for us.
Yes.
State, national levels. But as the governor of New Hampshire was changing things, how do we conduct our business? Can we?
Yes.
Sure.
The boards were then giving us the update. This is what you can do. This is what you can't do.
Which was awesome. So we didn't all have to figure it out. Yeah.
No, we knew what we needed to do.
So here's what you can do in regards to open houses. Here's what you can do in regards to having people visit your offices. Here's what you can do. And, I didn't want to have to interpret what the governor, because the governor put something forth for all businesses,
Sure.
And then they just distilled it down to how it affected us and gave us some best practices to use.
I mean, that's above my pay grade. I don't know, what is right, what is wrong, how to keep people safe. I want to be kept, appraised on what I'm supposed to be doing. And I also have to say, last year, and it will continue this year, but the things I saw realtors cooperating last year with this pandemic, I got choked up a couple times talking about it because things you don't ordinarily see. Agents sharing masks, maybe showings, a couple times cars parked down the street with agents in one car, buyers in another car, waiting. We tightened up our showing times, right? You might have 15 minutes to run through the house instead of 30 or even an hour in some cases. But a line of people waiting and very, very quietly waiting outside. And you come out and, okay, your turn, go ahead in. You have a mask, you need gloves, you need just people helping each other out. And it just made me feel great. I was like, this is a real community together. Let's figure out how to keep people safe. And I just loved that part of it.
Yeah, me too. And I love the Zoom part as well.
Yeah.
Because some people, I haven't seen as much, so it's nice to stay connected.
It is. It's nice to stay connected. So Zoom has been a saving grace in our industry and in others.
Though I find it hard. I get antsy after about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how young kids are getting through school. I don't know how exactly. The other thing that warms my heart is on Facebook, in the little town groups, you'll see somebody post, "Hey, I'm looking for a realtor."
Yeah.
And it's a testament to the high quality and professionalism and ethics of our local realtors. How many people I see post of how happy they were with their realtor. And I recognize most of the names.
Me too.
And I'm always happy about it. And I don't know what that poor person does with 30 recommendations.
Because they keep coming in sometimes.
So that is where we're competitive. But the fact that people love their realtors and are happy to give their name out,
absolutely,
that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a good thing.
And I think that comes from being cooperative and professional.
I think so. And I'm glad you brought up social media because I don't know how many groups there are with realtors. Private groups of realtors from around the country, around the world.
Helping each other.
Hey, I have this problem. What have you done? What have you found? And no, hey, I hate you. I'm not going to help you.
Right.
And I love that. I just love it. I think it's great.
Yeah. The one thing that we can't help each other with is we can't discuss fees. I can't say, I charge X and I think you should also charge X. That's antitrust. And that is one thing that our Realtor board also educates agents about.
Yes.
So we can help each other with education and with other things, but we can't price fix.
Exactly.
We can't price
Nope,
fix.
we can't.
But we have a couple of local private Facebook groups just to kind of have conversations about, does anybody have any listings coming up in a certain
Absolutely.
neighborhood? I've got somebody who's watching and waiting.
Yeah. Great things like that.
That.
I'm looking to market, have you used this company before?
Exactly.
Do you like them?
Yeah.
And people are great about helping out.
Have you been buying leads from this source? We get sold all the time on stuff like that, and you never know whether it's legit or not.
You don't know. You don't know. Even something so small as a tape measure, right? I mean, people use those tape measures that scan from their phones, and I still have the old out.
Old-fashioned tape measure.
Because I don't trust the apps. I don't trust them.
Right. Yeah,
but that's me.
I've been using a laser measure for probably 20 years.
But it's not on your phone.
No, it's not on my phone.
It's calibrated.
It's calibrated.
Yeah.
I tried that too, and so I'll do that, and then I'll do the actual. I'm like, it's the same. It's the same.
Good for you. Well, I really want to thank you so much for coming on today and helping us get real about real estate agents, and they are much more cooperative than they are cutthroat.
Absolutely. No pulling of hair or kicking or anything. That doesn't go on. Absolutely not. But thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
It's been fun.
Thank you.
All right.
Music courtesy of the Eric Lindbergh Trio. Please visit his website at www.ericlindberghworld.com. Jennifer and Brian are licensed to practice real estate in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. Brian is also a certified general appraiser in New Hampshire. They are not lawyers, accountants, home inspectors, or therapists. Real estate customs and rules may be different in your area. Each Keller Williams Realty office is independently owned and operated. The Realtor name is trademarked to members of the National Association of Realtors. If you are currently under contract with a real estate agent, this is not intended as a solicitation. Views expressed on this podcast by Jennifer may not be shared by Brian and vice versa, nor are they necessarily the views of Keller Williams Realty.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.